What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, a brand new announcement video. I am joining the DSL, the Discord Showdown League. This is a league that's been set up by some of my subs from my Discord group, and they've added some of their friends and people they know and stuff like that. It's a 16-person GBA style league, so it should be really fun and a great way for me to try and experiment a little bit and try a few different things out. So if you're excited for this, don't forget to leave a like down below. I would really appreciate it because we have already drafted, and I'm about to bring you guys the Bouffalant Bills draft analysis. Now this is a draft I am so happy with, honestly. So I came into it with a very sort of good plan of how I wanted to, the mons I wanted to build around, the mons that I wanted to include in the draft, and I got pretty much everyone. I got sniped a couple of times, but it was not too bad. So my main aim for this draft was to have like bulky offense, but still have a lot of blinding speed as well. So I didn't want sort of just a very fat draft. I wanted a fat draft that could be very fast. And also, I really wanted to concentrate on mons that were very versatile, that could be used either very well offensively or very well defensively as well, because it makes it really hard for your opponent to try and prep for all of those. So that was the sort of overarching concept going into this. I'm going to sort of talk it through as if, like, almost like telling a story of how my thoughts and the draft developed as I went on with the picks. So I wanted to start off, I always want to try and start off with like a core of a few Pokemon that work really well either offensively or defensively. This time I wanted quite an offensive draft, so I went for a offensive core, which I wanted Talonflame to start with, because Talonflame is really great for offensive teams. It means that I don't have to bring as many Scarfers and stuff like that, because most situations I can just come in and Brave Bird and Bird spam my way through from there. And if I can then build the draft around trying to support Talonflame and also try and bring Pokemon in that can handle all of its checks and counters, then Talonflame is going to be putting in a lot of work. So it's mainly defog and mainly ways to try and stop rock types and some steel types as well, mainly sort of like rock types or very bulky Pokemon. So the best way to do this was to pair him up with some sort of very powerful wall breaker. And I wanted this to potentially be my Mega, and I had a thought to start with. I wanted to have Talonflame and Mega Medicham, because Mega Medicham just rips through defensive teams, and if you try and bring offense to beat the Mega Medicham, then you've got Talonflame to try and deal with from there. So that was kind of my thoughts going into it. So as I said, I needed support for my Talonflame, so the first Pokemon I wanted to pick was going to be one that would provide me with defog support and also still give me good offensive presence. And that's why, luckily, I was 9th in the draft, so this was looking a little bit iffy. The first one of this twin had already been picked, and as you can imagine, I ended up with Latias. So I was considering Latios, and to be honest, I think I probably would have picked that over Latias, just because I like that little bit extra sort of offense over the bulk. But Latias still fits the team really well. It gives me that 130 base special defense is really nice, and it works really well as a support mon. I can get Healing Wish from this guy. He's got defog, I've got Calm Mind, and I can make him bulky. It's already talking about what I said before. You can either make it really bulky, so I can make him a defensive or a specially defensive set, or even just a support set with max HP and speed, or I can slap a Life Orb or Choice Specs on him and really go to town with that those Draco Meteors. So this guy worked really well as a sort of starting point for my draft. As I said, it covered defog and all that great stuff things. So I ended up picking this guy. Then from there, I had to wait and really hope no one picked Talonflame. Talonflame is always very weird. Like, some people really like it, some people really hate it. So I didn't want anyone to end up sniping me on it, so I had to go for it next turn. So luckily, the round came back round to me, and I managed to get Talonflame. So that was absolutely fantastic. Talonflame is a Pokemon that's always given me huge problems in draft format whenever I faced it, because basically you can either use it to the start to wall break with a choice banded set, or you can use the rest of your mons to wear down the opponent's mons, come with a Talonflame and you just mop up. Like, there's nothing they can do. So on top of that as well, you've got Natural Gift as well, which means if you've got something like an Aggron that's stopping you, you can use a Natural Gift Berry to just literally go through it, and there's nothing that they can do. 126 speed, you're still outspeeding a Scarf Aggron and a lot of the Scarf Rock types and stuff like that. So that's really fantastic. You've also got the very difficult to kill Spadef set, which allows you to set up on a lot of walls. It's quite surprising. This guy also gets really handy moves like Taunt, which means I can basically taunt walls and actually use it as a stall breaker, which is also very nice to try and beat very stally or defensive teams. And on top of this as well, which is another thing that's really nice, priority Tailwind. So if I know Talonflame's going down and I want to bring support to my potential wall breakers later on, I can just get a Tailwind up, go into that Wall Breaker, and that Wall Breaker outspeeds everything on the field, and I can just smash through their team from there. So Talonflame should work really, really well. It's got reasonable synergy with Hotline Wing. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. Basically, Latias can kind of switch in some of the Thunderbolts and also the Scalds as well. So there's a little bit of sort of defensive synergy going on there. But as I said, mainly Talonflame's there just to bird spam, stall break, and just be really, really great offensively, basically. So I did have some really good offense there, but I wanted something else that was going to be a really good defensive mon. And in the core of every great draft, you have a water type. Now, originally, I thought I was going to go cheap and I was going to go Jellicent, but then I realized I thought Jellicent was tier 3, which is 100 points, whereas actually Jellicent was tier 4, which was 40 points. My previous draft plan, my first draft plan basically had 20 left over, so I realized I can upgrade that tier 4 pick to a tier 2 pick. So I could pick a really, really good bulky water if I wanted to, and that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going for my Milotic here, which I'm really, really happy for, because Milotic, oh, that bulk is so good. Really, really nice. You've got, obviously, the great abilities with Marvel Scale and also Competitive. Competitive is really nice for there. You know they're going to be bringing Sticky Web, or they've got lots of Intimidate users. They really don't want to be doing that. He also is a great switch into Defoggers and stuff like that, because the Competitive boost is, raising that special attack by 2 is absolutely insane. On top of this, he's got great speed. 81 speed is really nice for a wall, and really decent coverage, actually. It's not going to be the most flexible of Pokemon. Most of the time you're going to be running Recover, Scald, and then either sort of 2 filler moves. You've got Haze, so if I'm worried about setup, I've got Dragon Tail if I want to phase out. I can I've got fairly good coverage. I've got Coil if I want to be very, very cheeky, go for a Spadef Coil set with Aqua Tail or something fun like that. Hydro Pump if I want more power. It's also got access to screens as well. Does it get Reflect? It does not get Reflect, but it does get Light Screens. That's really, really nice. And just overall, just as I said, a very bulky mon and a really, really great core to pair with Hotline Wing. So, as you can see from there, we've got the start of the Firewater Grass core, which is really nice. We've got some very, very good speed. We've got a good amount of bulk. But as you can see, I was starting to develop a electric weakness. And also on top of that, I had no Stealth Rocks at all. So I wanted a Pokemon that would give me an electric immunity and also give me the option for Stealth Rocks, which is where the next guy comes in. Well, girl comes in. We have got Nidoqueen. So Nidoqueen, as I said, pairs very, very well with Milotic. Milotic can switch into the Ice moves. It can switch into most Psychic type moves fairly well as well. And Nidoqueen's there just to sponge all of the Thunderbolts and stuff like that direct to either winging it or Marvel Fail from there. So that's really, really nice. We've got Hotline Wing as well to switch into the Psychic types. These two pair really well as well, because you've got great defensive synergy with that Earthquake immunity there as well. Same with winging it as well. So overall, I'm getting really, really great offensive synergy and also defensive synergy as well. Now, the stats may not look too great on Nidoqueen, but the thing that makes up for it is the fact that it gets Sheer Force. I personally prefer it as well to Nidoking, just because Nidoking just... It's a little bit more offensive, but I like the fact that Nidoqueen is bulky, it can take the hit, and then it punishes back, whereas Nidoking, you kind of got to rely on its speed a little bit more, but the extra bulk on Nidoqueen definitely helps. So the Sheer Force is really, really nice. You can run that Life Orb with Sheer Force. He also gets Sucker Punch as well, which is really, really nice for opposing fast, frail Psychic types, and can catch them off guard. And the move pool is just absolutely crazy. I can run this physical, I can run this special. We've got obviously the Sludge Bombs and stuff like that, but you get Super Power, you've got Super Fang if you want to be more of a defensive set to wear down walls. And just so many things that are Sheer Force boosted as well. Toxic Spikes as well. Toxic Spikes is really, really nice because that helps wear down your opponent and puts a lot of pressure on them to try and sort of take you out as quickly as possible. So there's a huge, huge deep move pool that I can go into. So that's really, really cool. So from there, I wanted to kind of finish up my Fire, Water, Grass core. So the Pokemon I wanted was one that would be very, very fast, but I wanted another Pokemon basically that could function offensively and also defensively, because that's the whole point of this draft, but also not be too slow. And I managed to grab Shaman, which is really, really nice, especially so late, because Shaman has really, really great coverage. Natural Cure as well is really, really nice, especially for a wall. The base 100 stats all around means that while it doesn't look too great sort of offensively, the fact that it has Seed Flare of 120 base power, 40% chance to lower the target's special defense. There's not many Pokemon that can switch into that reliably, and also especially with that 40% drop. So that's really, really cool. This guy can run, I can run a very, very fast set, so I can run max into speed, max into HP, and run a sub-seed set. It gives me a Pokemon with over 100 HP as well, so that means seismic tosses and stuff like that from Blissies and things like that won't be able to break my subs, so I can like sub-seed on them, I can just sub and just put pressure on them basically from there. I get a really good, sort of, it's a bit of a weird coverage, like we get Psychic, we've got Earth Power, I can't remember what else, Dazzling Gleam as well. And all of those are really good to try and check some of the things, switches to Shaman, so Psychic for poison types, and then Earth Power helps a lot with steel types and things like that, and then Dazzling Gleam as well, fairy coverage is very, very nice. And the other thing is as well, which is the same as Hotline Wing, is they both get access to Healing Wish as well. So what that means is I can Healing Wish up and basically sacrifice my Shaman, but then bring in something later on that's weakened. So someone might have to go to great lengths to try and weaken, say for example my Talonflame or something like that, and they get to a point where I can't Brave Bird anymore, and they're like, right, that's great, I don't need my walls anymore, get rid of the walls, I can come into Shaman, I can Healing Wish up, Healing Wish my Talonflame back up, and then I'm good to go, and I can clean up from there. So you never know with this team, when people are facing this team, what's going to happen and whether I'm going to run Healing Wish on something and bring them back. It's a really nice little Scarfer as well. That 100 speed is very, very nice. As I said, I've got a very speedy draft so far, which is really, really cool. And as I said, yeah, the move pool on this guy is not the worst, but it's really quite good. So yeah, that, and also Air Slash as well, I did forget about that. So from there, I wanted more support for my Talonflame, and I wanted a dedicated physical wall as well. I also didn't have any Volt Turn as well, which is a bit unfortunate, so I wanted something that would be able to wall, Volt Turn, and also provide support from Talonflame. So the most ideal one, which I was really hoping I would get, is the Fortress. So D's Nuts, the Fortress. I forgot to actually go through the nicknames. We've got Hotline Wing, the Latias, shoutouts to Matt for that one. We've got Wing It, the Talonflame, Marvel Fail, the Milotic, Killer Queen, the Nidoqueen, No Shaman Losing, the Shaman, and D's Nuts, the Fortress. So Fortress is really, really great. I absolutely love it in draft format. So it's one of those Marmite Pokemon. It's either you love it or you hate it. Like a lot of people hate it, but I think it's really, really nice. The typing is really good. I've got great defensive synergy alongside Hotline Wing, and also Winging It as well, which can switch into all the fire type moves. He also pairs really well with Milotic, so defensively it just pairs really, really well with so many Pokemon. The other thing is as well is it has access to every type of hazard outside of Sticky Web, so that's really, really cool. So I've got Toxic Spikes, I can get Spikes, I can get Stealth Rock, so it gives me a really great sort of hazard setter, and also Rapid Spin as well, which is very, very nice. I can also run this guy offensively with Custap, and basically just, if I want to go full hyper offense, which is very doable with this team, I just throw out my hazards, explode on whatever I want to do, and then next thing comes in and I start sweeping in from there. So really, really nice guy, functions, as I said, both as a wall and also as a bulky pivot. I've got Volt Switch on there as well, so if I can switch into something that can't touch me, I can just Volt Switch out, get in another Pokemon to actually be much more reactionary, rather than relying on doubles, which I'm going to have to a little bit more. Talonflame obviously does give me U-turn, so it starts off a really nice little sort of Volt Turn call there, especially when Fortress supports it so well. So what we're going to do now is change over to another team where I'll show you the rest of my draft from there. So it's around this point here where we decided to stop for the day, and I had a look and I had to sit down and I tried to work out what my plan was for the rest of the team. I was so happy with what I had so far. Everything seemed to have gone to plan, which was absolutely great. I think this might have actually been just before the Fortress pick, but the Fortress pick was basically just after we started. So I had a really good think and I was like, right, if I want to go for Mega Medicham, what happens, how does that dynamic sort of affect the rest of the team? Am I able to still fill all the niches that I want now that I've got Mega Medicham? And it was looking okay. Like, there was the problem was, because I had a fighting type and a psychic type, there's a lot of really great psychic types that I wanted to use that I wasn't able to use, and things like that. I didn't have a fairy type as well, so I needed to pick up Aromatisse, but then I had the problem was, I didn't want to then pick up Aromatisse and get Mega Medicham sniped, but if I make for Mega Medicham first, I had a really bad feeling that the Aromatisse was then going to be sniped, because it was pretty much the last decent fairy, I would say. There was still Togetic and Wigglytuff, but they're really, really passive, and I was not a big fan. And I really wanted the fairy type to try and beat, so not to beat, but to have a Dragon Steel Fairy Core and a really solid Firewater Grass Core. So I had a look at all of the Megas that I could potentially change into, looked at Mega Ordino, was like, oh, the extra points are nice, but I'm not a big fan of it. And I would much rather have some sort of really powerful wall-breaking Mega that I could use that would work really well with Talonflame. So I had another look, and then I realized something. Mega Gardevoir, as you can see here, Waifu, the Mega Gardevoir, had not been picked yet. And this was, what's this? The 6th round in, Mega Gardevoir had not been picked. And I was like, well, it makes a lot of sense to me. I love Hyper Voice Nuking. As you guys know, I love Exploud. And this guy is basically Exploud, but a little bit less powerful. But basically has 100 speed. I can change up my moves. I've got support moves. I've got Will-O-Wisp. I've got Taunt. I've got, do I get Wish? I do get Wish as well, so a really great sort of supportive mon, but also a fantastic wall breaker. 165 special attack, which invested, if I get the chance to make it modest as well, that's absolutely insane. And then Hyper Voice as well is Pixelate boosted, and just hits so many teams really, really hard. Fairy Spam is going to be really, really nice. And I've got switch into the fire types and also the steel types that threaten it, and I've got really good ways to kill them. And bulky fairies as well. I've got my Nidoqueen, so that's my fairy killer. So overall, Gardevoir made a lot more sense to my team. And later on, it sort of meant I opened up slots for other things that fit my team a lot better. So overall, that's why I decided to go for Mega Gardevoir. And also, if I can get that Tailwind up, Mega Gardevoir is going to be putting in the work, which is really, really nice. To get Healing Pill, a 3rd Healing Wish user as well, which is really, really cool. I'm a big fan of Healing Wish, and really nice coverage. I've got Grass Knot there, I've got Shadow Ball, Destiny Bond as well, Energy Ball, so really, really nice coverage. Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, Thunderbolt as well. Yeah, just absolutely great coverage. So I'm really, really excited to use this guy. Should be really, really good. Oh, girl. But yeah, should be a really, really nice Pokemon to use. And I've not used Mega Gardevoir before, so I'm really excited to give this one a go. It was, to be honest, it was always between Mega Gardevoir or Mega Medicham, which one I wanted to use. I can always use Mega Medicham next time, but it just made much more sense to go with Mega Gardevoir with this draft. So from there, I had basically enough points for, so I had, let's see, 1 tier 5, 1 tier 4, 1 tier 4, and I think it's 3 tier 4s and 1 tier 5, if I remember rightly. So I had to try and work out which ones I wanted to go for, and I've decided on a wall that I really wanted that would give me Stealth Rock options. It paired insanely well with Shaman and also Milotic, and that is Got Milk the Miltank. Picked very early, everyone was very confused by it, but it pairs so well because, for example, Milotic, if you want to run a grass move against it, I switch in Miltank, I have the Sap Sipper, I get the Sap Sipper boost. If I want to pair this guy with Shaman, any ice and fire type moves, Miltank can switch into them with no problem at all with Thick Fat, and it just provides so much support, which is really, really nice. 100 speed as well, which 100 speed for a wall is also very, very nice. 80 attack isn't the best, but it's doable to sort of fix with, and as I said, 100 on a wall is very, very nice. I'm going to be outspeeding a lot of other walls, and I can put a lot of pressure on them. I've got options for Curse, as I said, Stealth Rock, which is really, really cool, and a fairly decent move pool, and Milk Drink, and it's just a very difficult mon to try and beat, and especially when it's tier 5 as well. There's a lot of Pokemon that it can check, even when it's just tier 5. We've got lots of statusing there with Thunder Wave, we've got Toxic, which is really, really nice. So overall, a mon that pairs really, really well defensively with my team, and also, as I said, gives me more support options, which is really, really cool. From there, I still realized then I needed some sort of way to check bulky Psychic types, because so far, bulky Psychic types like Spadef, Mew and stuff like that, I didn't really have much that could put a lot of pressure on them. Like Gardevoir does put a decent amount of pressure on, but not as much as I like. So I wanted some sort of very powerful Dark type. Ideally could switch into Will-O-Wisps, especially things like Mew and stuff like that, and I needed things to break like Crests and all those disgusting things. So the Pokemon I decided to go for from there was a little bit unconventional, but I went for Zoroark. I didn't have enough points left. It was between Zoroark and Houndoom and maybe some other lower tier ones, but Zoroark made the most sense to me because with the illusion ability, I can basically use this as bait for a lot of counters. So for example, Talonflame. If I come in, assuming Rock Silence up of course, and manage to disguise Zoroark as Talonflame, that means my opponent's then going to most likely switch into a Pokemon of their choice to try and check it. If it's a Rock type, I have Grass Knot on this guy, and they won't see it coming. So it's you know, you've got Dark Pulse, you've got really, really great extra sensory, Focus Blast, Foul Play, Low Kick. Like this guy has got an insane move pool, really, really nice speed, Shadow Ball. So I can run this guy physical or special. Gives me priority in terms of Sucker Punch, which is Stab, which is really nice, and Knockoff user as well, which my team was kind of lacking. So it was good to get another a guy that can actually utilize Knockoff. okay speed, like pretty good speed. It's a nice speed tier where it outspeeds all the base 100s, which is very, very nice. And those offensive stats are really, really great. Not the most not the most sort of bulkier Pokemon, but it's definitely bulk I can work around with just to sort of scout. Does this guy, it's a guy also gets U-turn as well, so that gives me more to my U-turning court as well. And basically just great offenses as well. Even like 105 attack, that's really nice with a Life Orb or something like that. This guy also has access to Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, I'm pretty sure. Yep. And which is really, really great. So if you manage to force a switch with this guy, get a Swords Dance up, and you've got your Sucker Punch there, you're going to be doing a lot of damage with the Zoroark. So it's going to be situational. But I think I've got enough knowledge and sort of experience to be able to pull Zoroark off, I think, to pretty good effect. So, but we'll just have to see. I can't guarantee he's going to do well, but overall, I think for the points that I spent on him, it's definitely worth going for as a sort of very good fairy killer. Not fairy killer, bulky psychic killer. Because with Dark Pulse or Knockoff, I can be doing huge amounts of damage to them. So, there were a couple of things that I was then missing from my draft that I realised that I really wanted to get. First of all, I wanted a fast electric type, because that's always very, very key. I wanted a powerful physical special fighting type, because I did not have a fighting type, and fighting types are really great wall breakers, and I wanted something that I can either scarf, or I can bandit, and basically just use it to wall break as much as I can. So the only other thing as well I wanted was a ghost type potentially, because that means it stops fighting spam and stuff like that. So I've got a fair number of Pokemon that are weak to fighting types. I can check it with Latios and Talonflame, but I don't have much that can switch into powerful fighting type moves, so that's why I decided to go for Rotom. I could afford to upgrade this guy because he was tier 5. I could have gone for a tier 4 here, but I decided like the options were Manectric, or what was the other one? Heliolisk. And for my team, like Heliolisk just added too much fighting weakness. I had like in the last 3 picks, I had given myself fighting weaknesses. Whereas Rotom is really, really nice. Has a really, really decent pairing with Miltank. You know, all the ghost moves directed towards Rotom. Miltank can take, so it gives me another potential for a defensive set. All Spark, no Bite, obviously. Not the stats aren't outstanding, but I've seen George use it before in the GBA, so I wanted to give it a go and see how it fares. It's got enough where I could potentially function it as a sort of semi-wall, a bit of a Annoyer. It gives me a status spreader with Will-O-Wisp as well, and as I said, a really great check to normal and fighting types and stuff like that. The final Pokemon, as I said, was I wanted some form of wall breaking, and there were 3 options that were presented to me. I had the first option was Hariyama, which I've used before in the D-League, and I never really found a situation where I wanted to use it, and I'm not a big fan of it. I find it gets worn down, and it's too slow and stuff like that. There was also Primeape, which the lack of knockoff was kind of a deal breaker for me. I know Miguel is a big fan of it and stuff like that, but I want my knockoff, basically. Fighting type plus knockoff is really, really great for coverage, so I decided to settle for Sork, and Sork is going to be really, really nice with the sturdy ability. That means I actually basically get a free focus sash, which is really, really cool. If I can use my Fortress or my Latios to keep rocks off the field, that means Sork can come in and basically I'm guaranteed to get a hit off, which is really, really cool. He's great as a lead. I could choice band him as a lead. If there's no switch into a fighting type move, I can just choice band him, go for that close combat straight away and just start punching holes, which is really, really cool. Respectable speed at 85. It gives me a really great sort of fighting wall breaker, and overall really, really nice. Inner focus as well allows me to check sort of fake out users and stuff like that. And then, as I said, Mold Breaker is very, very nice because with the Mold Breaker Earthquake, that thing means things like Rotom Wash, the Lati Twins and stuff like that can't switch in on Earthquakes and stuff like that. I have Knockoff. Do I get Poison Jab? I do get Poison Jab for Fairies as well. So overall, like really nice, decent coverage. Pain Split as well, which I've just noticed, which is quite interesting. But basically just a very, very powerful fighting mon, which I think my draft really, really appreciates. So that was my draft in the entirety. And basically, I had a look at it. I worked out the average speed of my team, and I'll put a picture in there just showing you all of the speeds of my team. And basically, my average speed is 92, which is just absolutely crazy for a draft. and I have over half my team has got base 100 speed or more, so that's really, really nice. I've got what I wanted. I wanted my bulk, I wanted my versatility, I wanted my power, and also I wanted my speed as well. So overall, I'm very, very happy with the draft, and really, really excited to use it. So I'll put a pane down there so you can see the draft in its entirety. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with my draft, really excited to give it a go, and yeah, Mega Gardevoir is going to be certainly very interesting to use, and that fairy Hyper Voice, like anything that spams Hyper Voice is a favourite of mine, I must admit, especially after Exploud. That was the only thing that made me sad, is because I went for a Gardevoir, it kind of made no sense to go for Exploud, but Gardevoir is basically a better Exploud, I would say, for a lot more points, obviously, but still. Anyway, that is it for my draft analysis. In terms of the battles, they will all be on Showdown, and will be once a week, and I'll try and upload them as often as possible. Screw My Draft League will be coming soon. I've just literally finished my degree today, so that gives me time to record all of that and get that all sorted. So, hope you guys enjoyed the draft analysis. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.